My next guest is an international bestseller, couple of his books, The Locker and Gone Feral, owns one of the largest security companies in San Diego, and is a Marine. Without further ado, Ted Nulty, how in the hell are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing outstanding this morning. Thank you for having me on, Dustin.
Yeah, you know, before we got on, actually, I think it's important to note how we met. To give some dialogue to kind of how we connected and how you're on this show. We were at the 511 grand opening.
Yeah.
And you were signing a book for a couple of cops, I think it was.
Yeah, my books are pretty popular with law enforcement. And you walked up and you said, "What is that book?" And I got you a copy then, right?
You did. Yeah. Yeah. You're like, "Hey, come over here." You know, because it intrigued me because I just see you signing this book and I'm like, who is this guy? Like now you piqued my curiosity and you're like, "Well, hey, come on over here." And you got a couple books out of your car and gave them to me. Or you got one and then the other one came later at the VFW. And then we just started chatting and I was just like, wow, man, this guy is a interesting guy and had stories. But you didn't even tell me you were a Marine.
It wasn't self-evident. I kind of talk like a Marine. Most people go, "Oh yeah, he's a jarhead." I have the jarhead. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yes and no. I mean, I knew you had something to do with like law enforcement or something thereof, but had no idea, you were a Marine. Anyway, you kind of told me your story and told me a little about what you do and here you are today, So, again, thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
So how do you start your morning, man?
Oh God, this morning I started off at 3:00 in the morning, going down and investigating. We have so my security company does high risk security operations. We don't do regular stuff. We kind of specialize in distressed commercial properties. So say you have a shopping center and some gang members move into your food court and they're dealing drugs out of the food court. That's not something, law enforcement response is somewhat reduced here in California. I'm the guy you call to come in and fix that. So we come in, I have, my officers are trained to a much different, higher skill level. And so we address the gang members and the drug dealers, the drug users. We do transient mitigation and that kind of stuff. So currently there's a gang going around San Diego breaking into abandoned commercial buildings, and they're stripping the copper out of the ceilings and cutting the water pipes and cutting the backflow valves, and they take it up to the recycling centers and they sell it. But they're taking these, $20 million buildings and they're reducing them to worthless nothing. So we've been chasing this group around. We got them last night at a site off of Mira Mesa Boulevard.
What group is this? Like gangs like Bloods and Crips or like, MS-13 or like?
This is just a guy, two guys and a girl. They just drive around. They break into these buildings that are abandoned or have reduced occupancy. After COVID, a lot of businesses shut down. So
Sure.
A lot of commercial buildings will only have one or two tenants or one or two suites out of 12 occupied, and the rest are all abandoned. And what they'll do is they'll break into one and cut through the walls until they're into all of them. And sometimes they'll squat, they'll live in there. Sometimes they're just in there to cut the wires out of the ceilings and the walls and take it and get their money that way. Copper wiring is the heavy, dense cable is very, very profitable for them to take to the recycling centers.
Well, sure. I mean, they're fueling a habit, probably a drug habit, right?
Oh yeah,
like meth or heroin or
90% of it is meth now.
Yeah. I mean, that's typically what they do, right? Easy targets, low problems, right? Until they run into you, and then now it's high risk and a high problem.
we discuss their decisions in life. Yeah.
Right. So you finally got them. How long did it take you to get them?
We've been working this for 3 weeks, but this site, it was their past MO has been, they come back night after night after night because they can't get it all in one run. So they had broken in Friday night. We took the report Saturday, and then last night they broke in again. At 9 o'clock, we resecured the property, and then at 3 o'clock in the morning, we wound up catching them again on the breaking into the property.
Wow! So just, wait, so you've caught these people twice?
No, the first we discovered the crime.
Oh, okay.
We didn't catch them on site, and actually, it was a very alert San Diego police officer who caught them coming off of an adjacent property, coming towards our property, and so we were able to connect the dots. And
man, talk about some proactive policing right there. That's get on that officer. Yeah, I mean, you guys too. I mean, because obviously you're putting yourself at risk. You know, when because you're not Paul Blart mall cop. You know,
I'm pretty close. I'm Barney Fife Security.
You're Barney Fife Security.
but I'm a Barney Fife Security who's a prior SWAT officer. Used to run the hostage rescue team.
We're going to get to that. You hold that thought, okay? We're not there yet. Yeah. You know, we can't give the climaxes right at the beginning, right? We're not a 3-minute show here. Okay. So do you normally get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, or do you usually kind of meander around a little bit, or you're up by like 6, 7 and drinking coffee?
Some really good coffee. Usually I'm a coffee guy in the morning. So I'm usually up drinking your coffee. About between 7 and 9, I get my head straight, get on the computer, do my administrative stuff for my business. If I have a little bit of downtime, I'll write, write in my novels that I
Wait, you have more novels coming out?
I do. I have several in the pipeline right now. One's in editing. So I have a couple more. I have 7 published works right now.
7?
7 novels, yes. So either novels that I contributed to or wrote entirely myself. And then I have some poetry that's out there that I publish on a pretty regular basis. And most of the...
Give me some lines on poetry, man. Hit me with some...
Oh, I'm gonna have to call it. I can't. You're asking.
Oh, okay, all right. No, hey, listen, I get it, man. That's too much.
You're gonna pull my man card. I'm gonna read poetry. I'm supposed to be a badass. You're gonna yank my man card right at the beginning. Make me look bad.
No, man. I mean, I was expecting, hit me with some beautiful flowers. Like you're gonna say it to some words, and I was gonna be able to smell it through the microphone, man. I was ready for it. You were prime me.
I won the American Poets Society Award 2 years ago. For a poem I wrote called "Those Days," and I'll actually pull it up for you and read it to you in a little bit. But it's called "Those Days," and it was kind of my spin. I'm not really a poet. I like writing. I like writing action and picture, but poetry is actually a release for me. And they have a saying, a warrior poet, right? So I've written a lot of my poems have been about the struggles I've had as a husband, or that I've seen on the street, with all the riots and stuff that happened a few years ago. It inspired me to take a look at, where is society going? What is happening? So I wrote this poem. I was approached by a couple of producers. There's a bunch of the jewelry stores on Saks Fifth Avenue in New York, all the jewelry gallerias were buying my poetry, and they would attribute my poetry to certain works of art, jewelry, one-off pieces and stuff like that. So I sold that, and poetry pays.
Really?
It is amazing what they will, one poem, the rights to one poem, they'll cut you a check for $500,000.
So wait a minute. You did this as really a source for therapy, a way of therapeutic writing for you and thinking and that's therapeutic for you.
Yes.
And it actually kind of turned into a business, so to speak, right? Well, not a business, but like that one poem you wrote, The Warrior's Poet, and it just went.
Yeah, it
gangbusters,
went crazy. So I think my problem is I'm not a very good writer, but I'm a pretty good storyteller. Everybody tells me, Ted, your writing is kind of. There's a difference.
A huge difference.
So somebody who can write, they can have perfect grammar and spelling and punctuation, but their material comes out dry. And then there's a Yahoo like me who, gets a story going, and people are like, oh my God, I could, cops all the time, they read my book, The Locker, and they go, I could totally see how that happened. And The Locker is, during my career, I was involved in 6 gunfight shootouts. And so I rolled. In
your law enforcement career?
My law enforcement and military career, yes. So I was involved in a couple of lethal force incidents. And so I took those, I kind of fictionalized them a little bit. The names were changed to protect the innocent, and I stuck them in the book. And people, other cops, they read it and they go, that's totally legit. I totally get how that happened. I see, they're able to visualize from my storytelling, even though I write like a 3rd grader. Most of my words are 4 letters or less. I'm an idiot. And so,
at least we could be on the same page with that. You know what I mean? Like when we're talking to a writer, I'm like, oh my God, I hope my grammar is good. And you know what? I take comfort in knowing that you can publish books and Grammarly is my friend. Without Grammarly, people are like, who is this guy trying to write a damn sentence? Because I am a little slow with that. So where'd you grow up at? You didn't grow up here in San Diego, did you?
I did. So, I grew up all over the world. My dad was a Marine. His father was a Marine. His father was a Marine. We have a huge history within the Marine Corps. My great-grandfather is one of the most decorated Marines in World War I. He received the Navy Cross. Then he went on in World War II to receive 2 Silver Stars, a Bronze Star. My uncle, Hubert Nulty, received a Silver Star in the hedgerows after D-Day for taking out an artillery emplacement by himself. So I have this huge line of heroes that all feed down to me. My mother, on my mother's side, her grandfather was Baron Ritter von Thoma. My mom's name is Thoma, last name is Thoma. He was Rommel's second in command in North Africa. And most of his success during the Africa campaign was actually due to my great-grandfather. Rommel fled Africa after the Enigma Code was broken, excuse me, and after El Alamein. But if you ever look up Baron Ritter von Thoma, so I'm a baron, I'm a German baron. I'm the grandson of Ritter von Thoma, and his son was Merlin Thoma, who was in the Army Air Corps, and actually volunteered and went over and dropped bombs on his own father in North Africa. And and he was just a fire plug beast of a guy. He was just incredible.
Did he know that he was dropping bombs on his own dad?
Yes. He had immigrated from Germany prior to World War II to America. And then once Japan bombed Pearl Harbor, he volunteered for service thinking he was going to go fight Japanese, and they made him a flying sergeant. So the flying sergeant program in World War II was rated pilots. Like if you were already a pilot, but you didn't have a college degree, they would take you, make you an E5 right away, and you would start flying as a co-pilot, either in bombers or transport aircraft or anything like that. And so next thing he knows, he's in North Africa dropping bombs on his own dad, literally in the same battle.
Holy fuck.
Which is kind of crazy. And then his oldest daughter is my mother, Pam. And she joined the Marine Corps. She was the intramural Marine Corps judo champ for the Marine Corps. So I grew up in a dojo. My mom was this incredible my mom was Ronda Rousey 40 years ago.
Wow.
So in fact, my parents met in a bar fight outside of the back gate at Camp Pendleton.
No way.
And this guy was trying to pick a fight with my dad, and my mom came over and just kung fu'd the holy hell out of him. My dad's, well, thank you, I think, and my mom, she thought my dad was the most handsome guy that ever walked the face of the earth, which I obviously didn't get anything from. But anyways,
come on, man, you're not giving yourself credit.
So she just totally hit on my dad, and 3 months later.
And clarify, she wasn't jujitsuing his ass or kung fuing. It was, the banter kind. Okay. Right.
Yeah. No. So no, the guy that was going after my dad in this bar fight, my dad stepped around the table to avoid it. My dad had just come back from Vietnam. My father did 3 tours in Vietnam. had worked his way up to, he was a staff sergeant, a platoon sergeant for a company. They brought him back and they commissioned him and made him an officer. And then he went back to Vietnam, where he attempted to conquer the entire country by himself. And there's a huge story in that. My father was the epitome of the Marine Corps badass. Half of Camp Pendleton is named after my dad. The Thomas G. Nulty mortar pit area, the Thomas G. Nulty machine gun range, the John S. McNulty, which is his grandfather, machine gun training area. My dad was an infantry Marine from the day he was born, marksmanship instructor, had completed sniper school. Yeah, I mean, my dad was the Marines Marine. I'm writing a book about my family right now called Blue Eyes. We all have blue eyes, and it details everything from my great-grandfather, Baron Ritter von Thoma, had actually received the Knight's Cross twice. That's like their Medal of Honor. Wow. He received 2 of them during his career. And when he was captured at the Battle of El Alamein, they took him to General Montgomery's headquarters, and then he was transferred to England. And when he was a 3-star general. He was the highest ranking general to ever be captured in modern warfare. Winston Churchill comes to visit him, and he and Winston Churchill became best friends. And Winston Churchill would visit him every Thursday night at the POW camp. They would play chess. And again, you can look this all up on Wikipedia, WikiLeaks, or whatever. Winston Churchill, at the end of World War II, one of them said, you were so inspiring to us, and where did you come up with your material? And Winston Churchill said, most of the quotes that I gave you came from my best friend, Baron Ritter von Thoma. All these speeches that he was given. And he hated, my great-grandfather hated Hitler, just could not stand him. But he was loyal to Germany. He was German through and through. So, and he did fight for the Nazis, but he was not a huge fan of Hitler.
Well, I mean, most of them weren't a huge fan, right?
No,
but they loved Germany.
So, but he was able to give me a lot of dirt on Rommel and the way things actually occurred, why Rommel went back. And I don't know if they say Rommel committed suicide. It was kind of he was given the choice, either we're going to take you out and shoot you against a wall, or you can, take the honorable way out. But Rommel fled North Africa. So, and this is what's fun about writing, is all the research that you get to do and the things that you discover and find out. And it makes writing, it really does make writing books for people a joy.
The show wouldn't be made possible without our sponsors, Red, White, and Badass Brew, and Go Man Go Productions.
Baby, and I can't make a move. Like a child, a star for love that flows to the sea. Baby, if you run away, baby, if you leave, I'm so in love with you, girl. You make me feel brand new. Come on, give it up to me. Let me take care of you. I know that your mama said.
Well, that's crazy. Your family lineage is insane, man. I mean, on both sides, it seems like your side and your wife's side.
Compared to, these huge, so in the front of my book, The Locker, if you look, I listed my military heritage on my father's side. And,
wow.
And like I said, and probably the most badass out of all of them was my mother. I mean, my mother could clear a bar. She was she was fierce.
So when you grew up, did you grow up with a lot of discipline in the house? I mean, because your dad being a Vietnam vet, going over there, seeing probably a lot of shit over there and
Yes.
been in a lot of shit. I mean,
And my mother.
And your mother. I mean,
my mother never ever had to say, "Wait till your father gets home." So one of her so I always grew up at the edge of the mat. When my mother taught, wherever we lived, we followed my dad around to all the military bases. And wherever we went, my mom would always work at the MW, the Moral Welfare Recreation Office. Uh-huh. She would teach judo at night to people. And so my sister and I grew up at the edge of the mat. And of course, we studied judo. We had no choice. We studied judo, multiple martial arts, but between Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, judo, and Taekwondo, which were my big things, I was into martial arts since I was a little kid, and which is good. I never got in a fight in high school. I was that quiet guy, and there was always the bully that was talking stuff, but nobody ever laid a hand on me, kind of thing. And
yep.
But it was so incredibly awesome because the structure that I had, martial arts has literally saved my life a dozen times.
Sure.
But I was that kid in the morning. We had to open up our lunchbox, show that our lunch was packed. We had to have our homework laid out. And the teacher, every Friday, I had to go to the teacher. If I wanted to party on Friday nights, all the way through high school, I had to bring home a sheet that was signed off, right? And I'm one of those guys, I can pencil whip homework in 2 minutes. And I'm a really good test taker. Other than that, I did not pay attention in school. I was way too busy chasing the teacher's daughter and whatever. I was drinking beer and chasing skirts.
Were you a little partier, man, ladies, man?
I was really bad all the way through college. It took me 7 years, and I kept trying to convince the college to give me a degree in beer drinking and women chasing. Don't know why that should be a degree. I mean, those are life skills.
I mean, fuck, they have an arts degree, right?
Yeah.
They should have a fucking beer pong and
that's right.
Women chasing, right?
That's right. Teach people how to, home economics. Everybody was kind of down on it. Home economics was probably the best thing. They taught you how to at least cook a meal, balance a checkbook, change a tire.
Wait, you actually paid attention in home economics? I didn't pay attention. I was only in home and economics for one reason and one reason only. 96% of them were women. And I was like, you know what? How do I get in there?
Oh my God. And Miss Snyder everybody thought she was the most evil, wicked teacher in Coronado. But all you had to do was be nice with her and do your stuff, and it was great. And you're right. There was just a metric ton of women in there, So, you're not going to get happy going into the wood shop. Very few girls.
Very few girls, man.
20 guys,
Yeah, tons of wood. Just hardwood everywhere in the wood shop. I mean,
that's like going in a sports car. You're driving along, you're thinking, oh, I'm going to get girls. And every single guy in the world is pulling up going, oh, dude, nice Ferrari. It's like, I don't want to talk to you. I want to talk to your girlfriend. I don't want to talk to you.
Wait a minute. Hold on. You had a Ferrari in high school?
Oh, no. I'm saying.
Okay. All right.
No. I had an MG. I had a convertible MG.
I don't even know what the hell that is, man.
A little bit sports car.
I have to look it up. Actually, what's it called? MG?
MG.
I'm going to look that up right now. MG car.
MGC.
Whoa, no way.
That's what I drove all through high school.
Really?
Yep.
Okay, that's pretty freaking cool.
Little two-seater.
Yeah. But, dude, you don't need a third base. You don't need a fucking third wheel.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, listen, that you got the right car, man. It
was perfect for submarine races.
Yeah.
You go down, park by the beach, and watch the submarines race.
Man, I wish I had something that cool, man. My first car was a 1979 Delta 88.
Oh.
Yeah. A boat, man. Oh, yeah. No, hey, you know what? I love that car, man. I took that car off-roading and beat the shit out of it. And my dad bought it for $300. And it was red, but it's been sitting in the sun so long, like you put your hand on it, you get like a like the powdery red on it. Like you wash it off, it's just like a red stream going down your driveway. And it had a white vinyl top, but it was like yellowish tint because it's been sitting in the sun, which actually was kind of crazy. It wasn't even cracked. And then Yeah, I don't even know how. I mean, that's when they made shit to last, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So they and then the deer hit it on the side, so one of the headlights would shine like a spotlight up in the trees. So I drove around like that for a while till I got a front clip, and I got a white front clip to match the white vinyl top. I mean, the ugliest fucking car, but the most comfortablest car, and probably one of the funnest things to drive. That's where I learned how to drive in that car. My dad taught me how to drive in that car and whip shit around.
Between your car and my car. My car, you can't have sex in it. You can have sex right afterwards, but you can't have sex in it. But your car, so we had an Olds Delta 88 as well. And I got caught several times using that at the submarine races because that was a lot more conducive to cuddling with the honeys.
Oh, absolutely. Dude, I had a rule in my car. If you were a girl, you had to go topless. Okay, fucking somebody's out there going to say, what a chauvinistic pig. You're fucking right. I was a chauvinistic pig in high school. I mean, I was a fucking kid going through adolescence and I was fucking off in school. Like, I only had my mind on two things, and I'm only going to say one: women. And,
Coronado was actually kind of boring. So I grew up on the island after
Coronado here in San Diego was
here
boring.
in San Diego. Yeah. So we moved there when I was in 5th grade, and that was the last time I didn't move again until after I graduated high school and moved away. But Coronado is 2 miles square, and you have not that, the beautiful women, the women at Coronado High School, I swear to God, they had some genetic code that they had to meet because the women in Coronado were just beautiful. So too beautiful for me. I only dated a couple of them, but I had some great girlfriends, but there's not a lot to do on the island, So you go to the beach, you're down making out, you go to the beach during the day, you surf, and Coronado's a south-facing beach, so it's it walls out, the surf's not that good. Or you're over on the bay side, you're sailing, boating, doing something like that. So you're on the beach in the mornings, you do your stuff, go to school. We would go surfing in the morning, go to school, get done. I've always been a worker, so I always had work after school. I was either doing my lawn business, mowing people's lawns, or else I worked at both of the pharmacies on the island delivering drugs. I had a moped, and I would deliver the afternoon's drugs to the people around the island. So,
all right. I didn't know it was legal to peddle drugs. That's awesome. That's crazy to think back in the day, you don't look like a day over 35. So,
I'm coming up on 60 here.
Get the fuck out of here. Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know what skin cream you're using, man.
Bourbon. So I use, so you know how you put bourbon in your coffee? Yeah. I put bourbon in face cream, and then that's what I use.
Do you really?
Seriously. Yeah. Old Jarhead taught me that trick.
Not fucking pull it. Wow. Okay.
Bourbon.
I'm going to have to, I mean, is there like a specific kind? Cause I'm a maker's mark kind of guy.
Put it in and just a little bit. Yeah. But you'll have girls leaning and go, what is that? What is that?
What? I'm going to have to try it, man. That's,
bourbon face cream.
I'm going to have to try that, actually. Yeah. Man, you're dropping me some knowledge today. I like this. Wow. So
my head's been so sunburned and tore up. And, we used to have to carry we call them IBS. They're inflatable boats, small. We call them itty bitty ships. And we carry them on our heads, and it would rub raw spots. And then I would get sunburn in it. And that's why I've had to go in multiple times for skin cancer on my head, because we would just tear up our scalps. And then,
Sure. So you, high school, man, Coronado, a lot of fun. Your MG car, man, cruising around, picking up the ladies. But no nookie in that car.
Coronado did not have a wrestling team. So I actually went down and wrestled for Marion High School, which is down in Imperial Beach.
Really?
We didn't have a wrestling team. So I had to have an intramural transfer to go down to Imperial Beach to wrestle. And then I wound up hooking up with a private coach, and I wrestled and traveled and did martial arts on the side.
You know what's fucking crazy is the Olympics got rid of wrestling.
Yeah,
what the fuck? And then they're like, badminton's a sport. I'm like, get the fuck out of here.
Well, what is that? Curling.
Yeah, curling.
Stone and curling.
What the fuck?
I'm not saying that's just not quite the athletic challenge
Yeah, I mean, I'm watching curling, and at no point ever in my life sat there and said, I should probably find a club for curling. Like, like what the?
Boy, I bet you that got his heart rate up. That probably got his heart rate up over 55.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. So
I mean, like these guys are not in the gym hitting the weights, getting a real technique. I mean, fucking a broom. I mean, they got a damn broom, man. Like, yeah, I don't know what the fuck it's called.
See, now, you know what? Now I'm going to have some guy walk up and slug me in a shop. I'll be doing a book signing somewhere, and some guy go, I heard you don't like curling, and, start smacking me. I'm like, no.
And then you'd be like, well, shit, you punch like you handle a fucking broom, sissy. like, I understand why you didn't take wrestling now. I get it.
Exactly.
Thank you for the jaw massage. Oh shit, man, that's funny. So you graduated high school, I take it, and then
I did. So I graduated.
So you didn't go right into the Marines then?
No. So when I went to Northern Arizona University, probably the best school.
Wait, hold on. Northern Arizona, isn't that a party school?
That is a total party school, and I was in the Kappa Sigma fraternity. All right.
Oh,
so
fuck.
If you're a swordsman, if you know what I mean by that term, you could slay it. And there was girls. 4.5 girls to every guy. That was the most target-rich environment I've ever been in my life. Northern Arizona had so many women, so many gorgeous girls. They had some not so, and there's a lot of liberals up there. There's some tree huggers. So we had the hairy armpits and the hairy legs.
Hold on, Ted. I have to say this. We got a trigger warning coming up. So if you're easily triggered, you might want to mute your headphones or your car. And go take a hippy dippy break. Go ahead. So there's fucking tree huggers everywhere.
So there was, but hey, women are beautiful. I don't care, as long as you're not pushing Wookiee status, women are gorgeous in all their forms, and they're incredibly entertaining.
Sure.
The stuff that comes out of their mouth, guys think linearly, women think circularly, and so I find the human condition incredibly entertaining. So
yeah. Absolutely. And I love liberals. I love tree huggers, man, because there's a good in all.
My first wife is very liberal. She was.
Wait, hold on. Okay. We're going to get there. We're going to get there. Because you're not liberal. You're not a liberal guy, man.
I'm the most conservative. I'm the most law enforcement. I saw some really bad stuff during my law enforcement career.
Well, hold on. We're not getting there yet, sir.
Yeah.
We're not going there. You're jumping ahead of the gun.
Right.
Yeah.
So I go to Northern Arizona University. I went there on a wrestling scholarship. I wrestled freestyle. NAU picked me up. I got there my very first year, and they canceled the wrestling program. And it was only a partial scholarship.
Oh.
So I went in. I was going to do the Marine Corps officer program, but that got shut down for reasons that I can't go into. So I went into Army ROTC, and I did 3.5 years Army ROTC. Had just established some incredible friends. Some of my friends went on to distinguish themselves in Mogadishu, the Black Hawk Down thing. I had some incredibly they produced some really good officers out of that program. The professor of military science up there was a great guy. Sergeant Major Robbie Robertson, who was the staff NCOIC, was awesome. Master Sergeant Lovell, those guys were true. These guys, Green Berets, and they're at the end of their career, and they're passing on incredible knowledge to us, and they were just phenomenal. So I did that. I finished my ROTC, but I wasn't done with school. I was a dual major, dual minor. So I say that I majored in beer drinking women, but I was actually pursuing 2 majors and 2 minors. So it took me 7 years to get through the program and get it done.
So you're like what's that movie, Van Wilder? You ever seen it? Yeah,
I am very close to Van Wilder. Ryan Reynolds, poor guy, to have me compared to him, but so I did. I was studying everything. My problem is, I went to college and I only wanted to study what I thought was interesting. So my degree is in biology. So specifically herpetology. Ever since I was a kid,
all right.
fascinated by
What's herpetology, man? I don't even know what that is. Oh, okay. Okay.
So I've always thought snakes were just the coolest thing in the world. I thought king cobra. My dad came back from Vietnam and he had a stuffed mongoose that had this king cobra wrapped around it, and the king cobra's head's over here. And this, I grew up, so I'm like 4 years old, and I grew up with this king cobra and this mongoose right above me doing this thing. And I'm like, I mean, so I always thought snakes were cool. So I did that. My graduate thesis was on venomous reptiles in Florida. And then I did a marine biology internship at SeaWorld here in San Diego because I got to come home, stay at home. I saved money on it and stuff. So biology and criminal justice were my majors. And then my minors were physical education because of the martial arts and psychology. And
wait, they had a minor in physical, what's it called?
PE, physical education.
Physical education. What?
Yes,
Really?
and you say you're going to be a teacher. How many high schools have you gone to where the PE coach was also the English teacher? Come on. Or the social studies teacher or the whatever. No?
No. So usually, so I grew up in Yukon, Oklahoma.
Okay.
And our physical education teachers were a coach of a sport.
Yeah.
So they were a football, a wrestling coach, a basketball coach, a track coach.
Well,
something
if you want
that.
to be a teacher /coach, you can get. Any of you had a minor for physical education, so I signed up. And I got to go to the gym and hang out. I was always working because I was there with the wrestling team. I was always working out with the football guys. NAU had back in the day, they had what was called SAC, South Activity Campus. And so they had a dorm just for athletes. So all of us were all down at SAC. And so it was all football players.
I can only imagine, no ruckus fucking going on over there. Huh?
Oh, yeah. It was insane.
That's one thing that, I try to push on my kids is like, listen, I don't really care about the education you get in college. I kind of think it's half worthless, actually, and the only reason I'm pushing it is because, we serve, so they get to go for free.
There we go.
You know what I mean? So they're not going to come out of school with debt, and they can go in there and build that network and have those opportunities and have those experiences. And that's what I try to tell them is like, listen, I didn't get those experiences because I was a dipshit. And I don't really regret a lot in my life, and especially where it's gone and where I'm at now. But I want you guys to have these experiences because when you hear these stories and hear these people talk about it, you have that relatability with it. And you're building a network because your network is your net worth, I think. I think that's a huge thing. A huge thing. So, but two of my older kids are like, fuck, I ain't going to college. I was like, man, okay, fuck it. You do what you want to do. I get it.
Well, so my son approached me and he was upset and he said, Dad, Mom wants me to study this and get a degree in this. And he goes, I really want to learn Chinese. I said, so go take Chinese. And he goes, well, what do you want me to do? And I said, I want you to be happy. And he goes, no, what do you want me to do for school? And I said, I want you to be happy. And he goes, I don't think you understand the question. And I said, I don't think you understand the answer. I said, I don't care. My dad told me, I don't care if you sell pencils on a street corner. If that's what makes you happy, that's what you should do. Don't come to me complaining that you can't afford a 27-bedroom mansion because you're not making enough money selling pencils on the street corner. If the mansion is what makes you happy, then you need to do something that gets you to that point. But if what you want to do is sell pencils on a street corner, go do it. And he goes, yeah, but I want to study Chinese and they don't have it. I said, then study Chinese. Do you want to be an interpreter? And he goes, no, I just want to learn it. And I said, then go learn it. And he goes, well, it's college and it's going to set me back a semester. I said, I don't care. I'm rich. I'll pay for your college. I told him, as long as you go to school, attend the classes, and get decent grades, I don't care if you go to college for the next 6 years.
Did your dad have the same talk with you?
Yes, exactly.
And you didn't do it?
What do you mean I didn't do it?
Did you do it? Did you do it? Did you go and get good grades and stuff?
See, that's my problem. I got passing grades. Like I said, I'm a really good test taker.
Yeah.
So if I just do minimal study, I turn in the required assignments, and I go in like I can open a book, read 5 chapters, take a test the next day, and get a solid B+, maybe an A-. I mean, I'm really good at retaining that stuff. I'm really good at putting it together. And in the meantime, the previous 2 weeks leading up to the test, I'm in class checking out the women.
Yeah, party mode.
If I'm
party
in class
mode.
at all, you know, it's kind of the only classes that I religiously attended were biology because I thought they were interesting.
Yep.
The rest of them, my attendance was at the 60% level. And
I'm the same way with you, man. Like I dropped out of high school, so I've never been a good student. I don't know what it's like to be a good student. You know, I don't know what it's like to have good study habits. So I went to college, but you know what? I could not go to college right away. There's no freaking way I could ever have done that. And I get if my kids can't do that either. I get that now.
Oh yeah.
So I went to college. I was in my 30s, you know, but now I had responsibilities. I had a wife and 3 kids, and I had a kid in college, you know, and I was like, all right, but I was the same way. I didn't really crack my books open. I cracked them open enough just to learn what I needed to learn. And I just took some notes in class and boom, passed the freaking test, you know? And it's like, I tell my kids like, hey, D's get degrees. Like nobody's going to sit there and go, hey, give me your scholarship. You know, I need to see your grades, you know, because they don't matter.
For that performance. You know, it's funny. So the Sylvester Stallone series that just came out, Mayor of Kingstown or something like that.
Is it a TV series? Like Netflix
yeah, it's a TV series. But he's talking to somebody and he goes, college isn't what you think. He goes, college is overrated. And he gives he's talking to this kid and he goes, all they're looking for is the fact that you made a commitment for 4 years. You were giving a series of tasks that you completed, and an employer is going to look at that and say, okay, I have a reasonable expectation that this person is capable of showing up, doing a job, and that's what makes you more employable with a college degree than somebody who doesn't. Not to say that the person that doesn't isn't employable and won't be a good employee, but that's the value of the degree,
right?
You know,
shows commitment.
And I find that to be true. The stuff that I learned, man, I was all over the board. Aside from biology, I was, you know, I literally, my course schedule was based around where the hottest girls were taking their, you know, they were like, oh, you know,
shit.
Yeah.
I think you have to do a movie, man. I mean, like even to this point, right? You could even just do it and do like a series movies, like, you know what I mean? Just like how you grew up and then boom, go to college and then it kind of fades away to you in a uniform walking away from college. You know what I mean? Like I can envision this as you're speaking. Like I said, man, you're a great storyteller, man. Pretty epic.
Well, yeah, that's my one reading. Otherwise my books, I don't think my books would be doing that well.
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. So you went to college and actually we're going to take a break right now.
Okay.
If you have a heroic story and you'd like to share it, get in contact with us. Our information's in the bio. Also, don't forget to hit the subscribe, like, and share. And then I'll see you on the next episode, badasses.